Jubilees, chapter 1. And it came to pass in the first year of the exodus of the sons of Israel out of Egypt, in the 3rd month, on the 16th day of the month, that God spoke to Moses, saying, Come up to me on the mountain, and I will give you 2 tablets of stone, of the law and of the command, which I have written, that you may teach them. And Moses went up into the mountain of God, and the glory of the Lord abode on Mount Sinai, and a cloud overshadowed it for 6 days. And he called to Moses on the 7th day out of the midst of the cloud. And the appearance of the glory of the Lord was like a flaming fire on the top of the mountain. And Moses was on the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights. And God taught him the earlier and the later history of the division of all the days of the law and of the testimony. And he said, Incline your heart to every word which I will speak to you on this mountain, and write them in a scroll, in order that their generations may see how I have not forsaken them for all the evil which they have worked in transgressing the covenant which I established between me and you for their generations this day on Mount Sinai. And thus it will come to pass, when all these things come to them, that they will recognize that I am more righteous than they in all their judgments and in all their actions, and they will recognize that I have truly been with them. And write for yourself all these words which I declare to you this day, for I know their rebellion and their stiff neck, before I bring them into the land of which I swore to their fathers, to Abraham and to Isaac and to Jacob, saying, To your seed I will give a land flowing with milk and honey, and they will eat and be satisfied, and they will turn to strange gods, to gods which cannot deliver them from any of their tribulation. And this witness will be heard for a witness against them. For they will forget all my commands, even all that I command them. And they will walk after the nations, and after their uncleanness, and after their shame, and will serve their gods. And these will prove to them an offense, and a tribulation, and an affliction, and a snare. And many will perish, and they will be taken captive, and will fall into the hands of the enemy, because they have forsaken my ordinances and my commands, and the festivals of my covenant, and my Sabbaths, and my holy place which I have hallowed for myself in their midst, and my dwelling place, and my sanctuary which I have hallowed for myself in the midst of the land, that I should set my name on it, and that it should dwell there. And they will make to themselves high places and groves and graven images, and they will worship each his own graven image, so as to go astray. And they will sacrifice their children to demons, and to all the works of the error of their hearts. And I will send witnesses to them, that I may witness against them. But they will not hear, and will slay the witness also. And they will persecute those who seek the law, and they will abrogate and change everything, so as to work evil before my eyes. And I will hide my face from them, and I will deliver them into the hand of the nations for captivity, and for a prey, and for devouring. And I will remove them from the midst of the land, and I will scatter them among the nations. And they will forget all my law, and all my commands, and all my judgments, and will go astray as to new moons, and Sabbaths, and festivals, and jubilees, and ordinances. And after this, they will turn to me from among the nations with all their heart and with all their soul and with all their strength. And I will gather them from among all the nations, and they will seek me, so that I will be found by them when they seek me with all their heart and with all their soul. And I will disclose to them abounding peace with righteousness, and I will remove them the plant of uprightness with all my heart and with all my soul, and they will be for a blessing and not for a curse, and they will be the head and not the tail. And I will build my sanctuary in their midst, and I will dwell with them, and I will be their God, and they will be my people, in truth and righteousness. And I will not forsake them, nor fail them, for I am the Lord their God. And Moses fell on his face and prayed and said, O Lord, my God, do not forsake your people and your inheritance, so that they should wander in the error of their hearts. And do not deliver them into the hands of their enemies, the nations, lest they should rule over them and cause them to sin against you. Let your mercy, O Lord, be lifted up on your people, and create an upright spirit in them. And do not let the spirit of Belial rule over them, to accuse them before you, and to ensnare them from all the paths of righteousness, so that they may perish before your face. But they are your people and your inheritance, which you have delivered with your great power from the hands of the Egyptians. Create in them a clean heart and a holy spirit, and do not let them be ensnared in their sins from now on and forever. And the Lord said to Moses, I know their contrariness and their thoughts and their stubbornness, and they will not be obedient until they confess their own sin and the sin of their fathers. And after this, they will turn to me in all uprightness and with all their heart and with all their soul. And I will circumcise the foreskin of their heart and the foreskin of the heart of their seed. And I will create in them a holy spirit, and I will cleanse them, so that they will not turn away from me from that day and continuously. And their souls will cleave to me and to all my commands, and they will fulfill my commands. And I will be their father, and they will be my children. And they will all be called children of the living God. And every messenger and every spirit will know, yes, they will know that these are my children, and that I am their father in uprightness and righteousness, and that I love them. And write down for yourself all these words which I declare to you on this mountain, the first and the last, which will come to pass in all the divisions of the days in the law, and in the testimony, and in the periods of 7 and the Jubilees, continuously, until I descend and dwell with them forever. And he said to the messenger of the presence, write for Moses from the beginning of creation until my sanctuary has been built among them for all ages. And the Lord will appear to the eyes of all, and all will know that I am the God of Israel, and the father of all the children of Jacob, and king on Mount Zion for all ages. And Zion and Jerusalem will be holy. And the messenger of the presence, who went before the camp of Israel, took the tablets of the divisions of the years, from the time of the creation of the law, and of the testimony of the periods of 7 of the Jubilees, according to the individual years, according to all the number of the Jubilees, according to the individual years, from the day of the new creation, when the heavens and the earth will be renewed, and all their creation according to the powers of the heavens, and according to all the creation of the earth, until the sanctuary of the Lord will be made in Jerusalem and Mount Zion, and all the luminaries are renewed for healing, and for peace, and for blessing for all the chosen of Israel, and that thus it may be from that day to all the days of the earth. Jubilees, chapter 2. And the messenger of the presence spoke to Moses according to the word of the Lord, saying, Write the complete history of the creation, how in 6 days the Lord God finished all his works and all that he created, and kept Sabbath on the 7th day, and hallowed it for all ages, and appointed it as a sign for all his works. For on the first day he created the heavens, which are above, and the earth, and the waters, and all the spirits which serve before him, the messengers of the presence, and the messengers of sanctification, the messengers of the spirit of fire, and the messengers of the spirit of the winds, and the messengers of the spirit of the clouds, and of darkness, and of snow, and of hail, and of hoarfrost, and the messengers of the voices, and of the thunder, and of the lightning, and the messengers of the spirits of cold, and of heat, and of winter, and of spring, and of autumn, and of summer, and of all the spirits of his creatures which are in the heavens on the earth. He created the abysses and the darkness, evening and night, and the light, dawn and day, which he has prepared in the knowledge of his heart. And we immediately saw his works, and praised him, and lauded before him on account of all his works. For he created 7 great works on the first day. And on the second day he created the expanse in the midst of the waters, and the waters were divided on that day. Half of them went up above the half of them went up above, and half of them went down below the expanse that was in the midst over the face of the whole earth. And this was the only work God created on the second day. And on the third day he commanded the waters to pass from off the face of the whole earth into one place, and the dry land to appear. And the waters did so as he commanded them. And they retired from off the face of the earth into one place outside of this expanse, and the dry land appeared. And on that day he created for them all the seas according to their separate gathering places, and all the rivers, and all the gatherings of the waters in the mountains, and on all the earth, and all the lakes, and all the dew of the earth, and the seed which is sown, and all sprouting things, and fruit-bearing trees, and trees of the wood, and the garden of Eden, in Eden, and all plants after their kind. These 4 great works God created on the third day. And on the fourth day he created the sun, and the moon, and the stars, and set them in the expanse of the heavens, to give light on all the earth, and to rule over the day and the night, and divide the light from the darkness. And God appointed the sun to be a great sign on the earth for days, and for Sabbaths, and for months, and for feasts, and for years, and for Sabbaths of years, and for jubilees, and for all seasons of the years. And it divides the light from the darkness, and for prosperity, that all things may prosper which shoot and grow on the earth. These 3 kinds he made on the 4th day. And on the 5th day he created great sea monsters in the depths of the waters. For these were the first things of flesh that were created by his hands, the fish, and everything that moves in the waters, and everything that flies, the birds, and all their kind. And the sun rose above them to prosper them. And above everything that was on the earth, everything that shoots out of the earth, and all fruit-bearing trees, and all flesh. These three kinds of he created on the fifth day. And on the sixth day, he created all the animals of the earth, and all cattle, and everything that moves on the earth. And after all this, he created man. A man and a woman, he created them, and gave him dominion over all that is on the earth, and in the seas, and over everything that flies, and over beasts, and over cattle, and over everything that moves on the earth, and over the whole earth, and over all this he gave him dominion. And these four kinds he created on the sixth day. And there were altogether 22 kinds, and he finished all his work on the sixth day. All that is in the heavens and on the earth, and in the darkness, and in everything. And he gave us a great sign, the Sabbath day, that we should work 6 days, but keep Sabbath on the seventh day from all work. And all the messengers of the presence, and all the messengers of sanctification, these two great classes, he has hidden us to keep the Sabbath with him in the heavens and on earth. And he said to us, Behold, I will separate a people to myself from among all the peoples, and these will keep the Sabbath day. And I will sanctify them to myself as my people, and will bless them. As I have sanctified the Sabbath day, and sanctify it to myself, even so will I bless them, and they will be my people, and I will be their God. And I have chosen the seed of Jacob from among all that I have seen, and have written him down as my firstborn son, and have sanctified him to myself forever and ever. And I will teach them the Sabbath day, that they may keep Sabbath thereon from all work. And thus he created therein a sign in accordance with which they should keep Sabbath with us on the seventh day, to eat and to drink, and to bless him who created all things, as he has blessed and sanctified to himself a peculiar people above all peoples, and that they should keep Sabbath together with us. And he caused his commands to ascend as a sweet savor acceptable before him all the days. There were 22 heads of mankind from Adam to Jacob, and 22 kinds of work were made until the seventh day. This is blessed and holy, and the former is also blessed and holy. And this one serves with that one for sanctification and blessing. And to these Jacob and his seed it was granted that they should always be the blessed and holy ones of the first testimony and law, even as he had sanctified and blessed the Sabbath day on the seventh day. He created the heavens and the earth and everything that is created in 6 days. And God made the seventh day holy for all his works. Therefore he commanded on its behalf that whoever does any work thereon will die, and that he who defiles it will surely die. For that reason, command the sons of Israel to observe this day, that they may keep it holy, and not do any work thereon, and not to defile it, as it is holier than all other days. And whoever profanes it will surely die. and whoever does any work thereon will surely die forever, that the sons of Israel may observe this day throughout their generations, and not be rooted out of the land. For it is a holy day and a blessed day. And everyone who observes it and keeps Sabbath thereon from all his work will be holy and blessed throughout all days, like to us. Declare and say to the sons of Israel the law of this day, both that they should keep Sabbath thereon, and they should not forsake it in the error of their hearts, and that it is not lawful to do any work thereon which is unseemingly, to do their own pleasure thereon, and that they should not prepare anything thereon to be eaten or drunk, and that it is not lawful to draw water or bring in or take out thereon through their gates any burden, which they had not prepared for themselves on the sixth day in their dwellings. And they will not bring in nor take out from house to house on that day, for that day is more holy and blessed than any Jubilee day of the Jubilees. On this we kept Sabbath in the heavens before it was made known to any flesh to keep Sabbath thereon on the earth. And the Creator of all things blessed it. But he did not sanctify all peoples and nations to keep Sabbath thereon, but Israel alone. Them alone he permitted to eat and drink and to keep Sabbath thereon on the earth. And the Creator of all things blessed this day, which he had created for a blessing and a sanctification and a glory above all days. This law and testimony was given to the sons of Israel as a law forever to their generations. Jubilees, chapter 3. And on the 6 days of the second week, we brought, according to the word of God, to Adam all the beasts, and all the cattle, and all the birds, and everything that moves on the earth, and everything that moves in the water, according to their kinds, and according to their types. The beasts on the first day, the cattle on the second day, the birds on the third day, and all that which moves on the earth on the fourth day, and that which moves in the water on the fifth day. And Adam named them all by their respective names, and as he called them, so was their name. And on these 5 days Adam saw all these, male and female, according to every kind that was on the earth. But he was alone, and found no helpmate for him. And the Lord said to us, It is not good for the man. It is not good that the man should be alone. Let us make a helpmate for him. And the Lord our God caused a deep sleep to fall on him. And he slept, and he took for the woman one rib from among his ribs. And this rib was the origin of the woman from among his ribs. And he built up the flesh and its stead, and built the woman. And he awoke Adam out of his sleep, and on awaking he rose on the 6th day. And he brought her to him, and he knew her, and said to her, This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She will be called woman, because she was taken from man. Therefore, man and wife will be one, and therefore a man will leave his father and his mother, and cleave to his wife, and they will be one flesh. In the first week, Adam was created, and the rib, his wife, in the second week. He showed her to him. And for this reason, the command was given in their defilement for a male 7 days, and for a female twice 7 days. And after Adam had completed 40 days in the land where he had been created, he brought him into the Garden of Eden to till and keep it. But they brought his wife in on the 80th day, and after this she entered into the Garden of Eden. And for this reason, the command is written on the heavenly tablets in regard to her that gives birth. If she bears a male, she will remain in her uncleanness 7 days according to the first week of days, and 33 days she will remain in the blood of her purifying, and she will not touch any hallowed thing, nor enter into the sanctuary until she accomplishes these days which are prescribed in the case of a male child. But in the case of a female child, she will remain in her uncleanness 2 weeks of days, according to the first 2 weeks, and 66 days in the blood of her purification, and they will be in all 80 days. And when she had completed these 80 days, we brought her into the Garden of Eden, for it is holier than all the earth besides, and every tree that is planted in it is holy. Therefore, there was ordained regarding her who bears a male or a female child the statute of those days, that she should touch no hallowed thing, nor enter into the sanctuary until these days for the male or female child are accomplished. This is the law and testimony which was written down for Israel, in order that they should observe it all the days. And in the first week of the first Jubilee, Adam and his wife were in the Garden of Eden for 7 years, tilling and keeping it. And we gave him work, and we instructed him to do everything that is suitable for tillage. And he tilled the garden, and was naked, and did not know it, and was not ashamed. And he protected the garden from the birds and beasts and cattle, and gathered its fruit and ate, and put aside the residue for himself and for his wife. And after the completion of the 7 years which he had completed there, 7 years exactly, and in the second month, and on the 17th day of the month, the serpent came and approached the woman. And the serpent said to the woman, Has God commanded you, saying, You will not eat of every tree of the garden? And she said to it, Of all the fruit of the trees of the garden, God has said to us, Eat. But of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God has said to us, You will not eat thereof, neither will you touch it, lest you die. And the serpent said to the woman, You will not surely die. For God knows that on the day you will eat thereof, your eyes will be open, and you will be as gods, and you will know good and evil. And the woman saw the tree, that it was agreeable and pleasant to the eye, and that its fruit was for good for and that its fruit was good for food, and she took thereof and ate. And when she had first covered her shame with fig leaves, she gave thereof to Adam, and he ate, and his eyes were open, and he saw that he was naked. And he took fig leaves and sewed them together, and made an apron for himself, and covered his shame. And God cursed the serpent and was angry with it forever. And he was angry with the woman because she listened to the voice of the serpent and ate. And he said to her, I will greatly multiply your sorrow and your pains. In sorrow you will bring out children, and your return will be to your husband or man, and he will rule over you. And he also said to Adam, Because you have listened to the voice of your wife, and have eaten of the tree of which I commanded you that you should not eat thereof, the ground is cursed for your sake. It will bring out thorns and thistles to you, and you will eat your bread in the sweat of your face until you return to the earth from where you were taken. For earth you are, and to earth you will return. And he made coats of skin for them, and clothed them, and sent them out from the Garden of Eden. And on that day on which Adam went out from the garden, he offered as a sweet savor an offering, frankincense, galbanum, and stacte, and spices in the morning with the rising of the sun from the day when he covered his shame. And on that day, the mouth of all beasts and of cattle and of birds and of whatever walks and of whatever moves was closed, so that they could no longer speak, for they had all spoken with one another with one lip and with one tongue. And he sent out of the Garden of Eden all flesh that was in the Garden of Eden, and all flesh was scattered according to its kind and according to its types, to the places which have been created for them. And to man alone did he give the means to cover his shame. Of all the beasts and cattle, on this account it is prescribed on the heavenly tablets as touching all those who know the judgment of the law, and that they should cover their shame and should not uncover themselves as the nations uncover themselves. And on the new moon of the fourth month, Adam and his wife went out from the Garden of Eden, and they dwelt in the land of Eldah, in the land of their creation. And Adam called the name of his wife Eve, and they had no son until the first Jubilee. And after this, he knew her. Now he tilled the land as he had been instructed in the Garden of Eden. Jubilees, chapter 4. And in the third week, in the second Jubilee, she gave birth to Cain. And in the fourth, she gave birth to Abel. And in the fifth, she gave birth to her daughter, Awan. And in the first year of the third Jubilee, Cain slew Abel, because God accepted the sacrifice of Abel and did not accept the offering of Cain. And he slew him in the field, and his blood cried from the ground to heaven, complaining because he had slain him. And the Lord reproved Cain because of Abel, because he had slain him, and he made him a fugitive on the earth because of the blood of his brother. And he cursed him on the earth. And on this account, it is written on the heavenly tablets, cursed is he who strikes his neighbor treacherously. And let all who have seen and heard it say so. And the man who has seen and not declared it, let him be cursed as the other. And for this reason, we announce when we come before the Lord our God, all the sin which is committed in the heavens and on earth and in light and in darkness and everywhere. And Adam and his wife mourned for Abel 4 weeks of years. And in the fourth year of the fifth week, they became joyful, and Adam knew his wife again. And she bore him a son, and he called his name Seth. For he said, God has raised up a second seed to us on the earth instead of Abel, for Cain slew him. And in the sixth week he begot his daughter Azurah. And Cain took his sister Awan to be his wife, and she bore him Enoch at the close of the fourth Jubilee. And in the first year of the first week of the fifth Jubilee, houses were built on the earth. And Cain built a city and called its name after the name of his son Enoch. And Adam knew his wife Eve, and she bore 9 more sons. And in the fifth week of the fifth Jubilee, Seth took his sister Azurah to be his wife. And in the fourth year of the 6th week, she bore him Enos. He began to call on the name of the Lord on the earth. And in the 7th Jubilee, in the 3rd week, Enos took his sister Naom to be his wife, and she bore him a son in the 3rd year of the 5th week, and he called his name Kenan. And at the close of the 8th Jubilee, Kenan took his sister Malalelith to be his wife, and she bore him a son in the 9th Jubilee, in the 1st week, in the 3rd year of this week, and he called his name Mahalalel. And in the 2nd week of the 10th Jubilee, Mahalalel took to himself Dinah to be his wife, the daughter of Barakakel, the daughter of his father's brother, and she bore him a son in the 3rd week in the 6th year, and he called his name Jared. For in his days the messengers of the Lord descended on the earth, those who are named the Watchers, that they should instruct the children of men, and that they should do judgment and uprightness on the earth. And in the 11th Jubilee, Jared took to himself a wife, and her name was Baraka, the daughter of Rasugel, a daughter of his father's brother, in the 4th week of this Jubilee, and she bore him a son in the 5th week, in the 4th year of the Jubilee, and he called his name Enoch. And he was the first among men that are born on earth who learned writing and knowledge and wisdom, and who wrote down the signs of the heavens according to the order of their months in a scroll, that men might know the seasons of the years according to the order of their separate months. And he was the first to write a testimony, and he testified to the sons of men among the generations of the earth, and recounted the weeks of the Jubilees, and made known to them the days of the years, and set in order the months, and recounted the Sabbaths of the years, as we made them known to him. And what was and what will be, he saw in a vision of his sleep, as it will happen to the children of men throughout the generations until the day of judgment. He saw and understood everything, and wrote his testimony, and placed the testimony on earth for all the children of men and for their generations. And in the 12th Jubilee, in the 7th week thereof, he took to himself a wife, and her name was Etni, the daughter of Daniel, the daughter of his father's brother. And in the 6th year, in this week, she bore him a son, and he called his name Methuselah. And he was, moreover, with the messengers of God these 6 jubilees of years, and they showed him everything which is on earth and in heaven, in the heavens, the rule of the sun. And he wrote down everything, and he testified to the watchers who had sinned with the daughters of men, for these had begun to unite themselves with them, so as to be defiled with the daughters of men. And Enoch testified against them all, and he was taken from among the children of men. And we conducted him into the Garden of Eden in majesty and honor. And behold, there he wrote down the condemnation and judgment of the world, and all the wickedness of the children of men. And on account of it, God brought the waters of the flood on all the land of Eden. For there he was set as a sign, and that he should testify against all the children of men, that he should recount all the deeds of the generations until the day of condemnation. And he burnt the incense of the sanctuary, even sweet spices, acceptable before the Lord on the mountain. For the Lord has 4 places on the earth: the Garden of Eden, and the mountain of the east, and this mountain on which you are this day, Mount Sinai, and Mount Zion, which will be sanctified in the new creation for a sanctification of the earth. Through it, the earth will be sanctified from all its guilt and its uncleanness throughout the generations of the world. And in the 14th Jubilee, Methuselah took to himself a wife, Edna, the daughter of Azariel, the daughter of his father's brother, in the third week, in the first year of this week. And he begot a son and called his name Lamech. And in the 15th Jubilee, in the third week, Lamech took to himself a wife, and her name was Betinos, and the daughter of Barachikel, the daughter of his father's brother. And in this week she bore him a son, and he called his name Noah, saying, This one will comfort me for my trouble and all my work, and for the ground which the Lord has cursed. And at the close of the 19th Jubilee, in the seventh week, in the sixth year thereof, Adam died, and all his sons buried him in the land of his creation. And he was the first to be buried in the earth. And he lacked 70 years of 1,000 years. For 1,000 years are as one day in the testimony of the heavens. And therefore it was written concerning the tree of knowledge, on the day that you eat thereof, you will die. For this reason, he did not complete the years of this day, for he died during it. At the close of this Jubilee, Cain was killed after him in the same year, for his house fell on him, and he died in the midst of his house, and he was killed by its stones. For with a stone he had killed Abel, and by a stone he was killed in righteous judgment. For this reason it was ordained on the heavenly tablets, with the instrument with which a man kills his neighbor, with the same he will be killed. After the manner that he wounded him, in like manner they will deal with him. And in the 25th Jubilee, Noah took to himself a wife, and her name was Imzara, the daughter of Rachiel, the daughter of his father's brother, in the first year, in the fifth week. And in the third year thereof, she bore him Shem. In the fifth year thereof, she bore him Ham. And in the first year, in the sixth week, she bore him Japheth. Jubilees, chapter 5. And it came to pass when the children of men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born to them, that the messengers of God saw them on a certain year of this Jubilee, that they were beautiful to look on. And they took wives for themselves of all whom they chose, and they bore sons to them, and they were giants. And lawlessness increased on the earth, and all flesh corrupted its way, men and cattle and beasts and birds, and everything that walks on the earth alike. All of them corrupted their ways and their orders, and they began to devour each other, and lawlessness increased on the earth, and every imagination of the thoughts of all men was evil continually. And God looked on the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, and all flesh had corrupted its orders, and all that were on the earth had worked all manner of evil before his eyes. And he said that he would destroy man and all flesh on the face of the earth which he had created. But Noah found grace before the eyes of the Lord, and against the messengers whom he had sent on the earth, he was exceedingly angry. And he gave command to root them out of all their dominion. And he commanded us to bind them in the depths of the earth. And behold, they are bound in the midst of them, and are kept separate. And a command went out against their sons from before his face, and they should be smitten with the sword, and be removed from under the heavens. And he said, my spirit will not always abide on men, for they are also flesh, and their days will be 120 years. And he sent his sword into their midst, that each should slay his neighbor. And they began to slay each other until they all fell by the sword, and were destroyed from the earth. And their fathers were witnesses of their destruction. And after this, they were bound in the depths of the earth forever, until the day of the great condemnation, when judgment is executed on all those who have corrupted their ways and their works before the Lord. And he destroyed all from their places, and there was not left even one of them whom he did not judge according to all their wickedness. And he made for all his works a new and righteous nature, so that they should not sin in their whole nature forever, but should be all righteous, each in his kind always. And the judgment of all is ordained and written on the heavenly tablets in righteousness, even the judgment of all who depart from the path which is ordained for them to walk in. And if they do not walk therein, judgment is written down for every creature and for every kind. And there is nothing in the heavens or on earth or in light or in darkness or in Sheol or in the depth or in the place of darkness which is not judged. And all their judgments are ordained and written and engraved in regard to all he will judge, the great according to his greatness, and the small according to his smallness, and each according to his way. And he is not one who will regard the person of any, nor is he one who will receive gifts. If he says that he will execute judgment on each, if one gave everything that is on the earth, he will not regard the gifts or the person of any, nor accept anything at his hands, for he is a righteous judge. And of the sons of Israel, it has been written and ordained that if they turn to him in righteousness, he will forgive their transgressions and pardon all their sins. It is written and ordained that he will show mercy to all who turn from all their guilt once each year. And as for all those who corrupted their ways and their thoughts before the flood, no man's person was accepted save that of Noah alone. For his person was accepted in behalf of his sons, whom God saved from the waters of the flood on his account. For his heart was righteous in all his ways, according as it was commanded regarding him. And he had not departed from anything that was ordained for him. And the Lord said that he would destroy everything which was on the earth, both men and cattle and beasts and birds of the air, and that which move on the earth. And he commanded Noah to make himself an ark, that he might save himself from the waters of the flood. And Noah made the ark in all respects as he commanded him, in the 27th Jubilee of years, in the 5th week, in the 5th year, on the new moon of the first month, 1307 a.m. And he entered in the 6th year thereof, 1308 a.m., in the second month, on the new moon of the second month, until the 16th. And he entered and all that we brought to him into the ark, and the Lord closed it from outside of the 17th on the 17th evening. And the Lord opened 7 floodgates of the heavens, and the mouths of the fountains of the great deep, 7 mouths in number. And the floodgates began to pour down water from the heavens 40 days and 40 nights. And the fountains of the deep also sent up waters until the whole world was full of water. And the waters increased on the earth. The waters rose 15 cubits above all the high mountains, and the ark was lifted up above the earth, and it moved on the face of the waters. And the water prevailed on the face of the earth 5 months, 150 days. And the ark went and rested on the top of Lubar, one of the mountains of Ararat. And on the new moon, in the 4th month, the fountains of the great deep were closed, and the floodgates of the heavens were restrained. And on the new moon of the 7th month, all the mouths of the abysses of the earth were open, and the water began to descend into the deep below. And on the new moon of the 10th month, the tops of the mountains were seen. And on the new moon, on the 1st month, the earth became visible, and the waters disappeared from above the earth in the 5th week in the 7th year, 1309 a.m. thereof. And on the 17th day in the 2nd month, the earth was dry. And on the 27th thereof, he opened the ark and sent out from it beasts and cattle and birds and everything and every moving thing.